Happiness is beautiful, it's a kind reality. Happiness is the highest good, happiness is free. So let's be so very happy. Yeah, let's be so very happy. Yeah, let's be so very happy.
Welcome to the Happiness Show. This is Lionel Ketchian, and I'm here with George Ortega. And we're here to talk about happiness, because happiness is, always has been, and always will be the point of it all. Okay, let's begin. This is the Ketchian Ortega Happiness Dialogues, number 6. And tonight, we're going to be talking about how is happiness a decision? George.
Okay, yeah, we're going to start off with that. You know, basically, happiness is the decision, because, like, what happens is, like, in life, we decide, in a sense, what we're going to focus on, what we're going to devote our attention to, what we're going to devote our effort to. And, I guess many of us, a lot of us devote our attention to succeeding, to doing things well, to making money, to these kinds of very popular cultural kinds of goals. But, when you think about it, happiness is a decision in the sense that we don't have to conform to these other kinds of more popular methods, because, in a sense, these methods really are just means to happiness. A person wants a big house, wants this, that, to get married, whatever, to become happier. Some of those things work, like becoming, deciding to to get married is going to make you a lot happier in general, Some of the things don't work as well. But yeah, the idea is that, we can make the decision to not just be happy, to be very happy. And having made that decision, then what happens is our mind, see, we have our mind and we have our brain, all right? So, like, a lot of times what we tell our brain by our will, it'll follow it. It'll eventually follow it.
I agree. You're right about that. So, George, what you're saying is what we set up, the way we set it up with a decision, we'll actually respond to that, maybe unconsciously in some endeavors, and then we probably will start to choose and pick things that the decision has already set up for us. Is that what you're saying? Yeah,
we decide that we're either very happy or we're going to be very happy, because we could do both, Let's say we're not very happy, like by our own standard, okay?
Right.
We begin to say to ourselves, well, I decide that I am going to be very happy, and that decision actually becomes a belief then, and we may get into this idea of belief a bit later.
Okay.
But
well, I think it's good that you brought it up, because it could be a belief, but in my case, just to talk about this, about 12 years ago, December 24th, 1991, just to give you an exact 6 o'clock at night, I made the decision. I said, I feel good. I don't want to give this up. So I decided to be happy, and really thought about it and said, well, what does it take to give this up? And that's when I realized that, well, let's see what it could take to give this up. And in 12 years, a lot happened, a lot of bad things happened, but nothing made me give up my happiness. So I used happiness to deal with everything that happened, good or bad. What I want to say about this is, it might have been a belief in the beginning, because I didn't even think I could be happy no matter what. But as I found out that I could, it turned into a knowingness. It wasn't a belief anymore. You don't have to believe what I'm saying or what George is saying. If you start to, if you make the decision to be happy, and you start to make that part of your life, you're going to start finding out if it works or it doesn't work. The belief is when you don't know if something will work or not, and you want to believe in it. But I think you don't even have to believe in this. You just have to put it into practice. And when you put it into practice, then you find out if it works or not, and that's more of a knowing if it works for you. So I don't like the word belief too much, because it's almost like, then you get into, well, I don't think it's going to work. I don't believe in it. Well, then you may never use it. Try it. I mean, it could work.
Right. Well, actually, I mean, belief, like a decision to be happy or very happy, is one very powerful method, right? But then belief is also a different strategy.
True.
Like, for example, what they've done through their studies is they've determined that the more we see or hear something, the more we'll like it, and the more we'll believe it. You know, and this is shown on TV and radio with commercials. This is why we study things and restudy them. You know, but with belief, yeah, the idea with belief is that we talked a while back about happiness being an attitude, and an attitude being comprised of three components: belief being one, then behavior and emotion. Okay, so what happens is, like, if we say to ourselves, you know, I believe I am very happy, okay, that's going to set the stage for our behaving in a way that is very happy, and for our feeling very happy. So, you know, in a sense,
I agree.
Yeah, I understand your point about, like, the decision is like it's a more firm kind of a strategy. It's like they're saying it's not a belief. I am happy because I have decided, and that's great.
Right. Well, but then you see, then you have the experience of it, and when you have an experience of something, you don't have to believe in it, because you know it works, you know. And I guess what it's like, and especially with happiness, is you and I are here in the studio. Some people could be nervous doing a show like this. Some people could be frightened. But it pretty much is all the way you set it up in your own thinking, in your own mind. And if you start to experience feeling really good about doing this, like I do now, then that experience becomes something you can count on. And I think that that's the important thing about making a happiness decision, because unless you realize you can count on it no matter what, it doesn't serve you very well. And the truth is that it's when things are not going well for us that we really need a strategy like happiness to get us through it. That's when we need it most of all. And, you know, it's not just a feel-good smile for now. It's to take with you throughout your day, you know, to handle whatever comes up, so that you realize that, look, you may not have control over what happens to you, but you have control within yourself, so you can respond to what's happening.
Oh yeah. I wanted to just explain by example a bit of, like, this idea of deciding happiness. The example is, like, a lot of us decide that we're going to be a musician, we're going to learn the piano, okay? So we make that decision. That decision leads to practice, okay? So that, like, we decide to be a pianist, we practice, we become a pianist, and the more we practice piano, the more hours we spend learning it, the better we get at it. So, and it's always that decision. That decision created the whole. Now, this I think what you're saying is a bit different, because with this, with playing the piano, it's a process where you get better and better and better at it. And in a sense, with the decision, it could be like that.
It's the same thing. Oh yeah, you do get better and better and better at it. Yeah, absolutely. But as you get better at it, you know you can play, so you don't have to believe you can play. Well, maybe.
No, yeah, you're right. You're exactly right.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, because, like, well, I mean, like a pianist, you know, before they start practicing, they don't know how well they can play, right?
Right.
But 3-4 years down the line, they know exactly how well.
Well, let's agree on this. Well, we don't have to agree. That's the great thing about this show. We don't know what we're going to say to one another, but I agree with you on the belief. If you just believe you could be happy, that's good. Because a lot of people aren't utilizing that. Any way you can start to practice it is a good way to start. And it doesn't matter what the way is. And actually, you couldn't know for sure that you could be happy, so you might have to believe in it at first. But all I'm saying is that once you get better at it, you start realizing, hey, I can do this. This works. This is better for me. So why would I give it up? So all of a sudden, your rational mind gets a hold of this and says, hey, this decision is good for me. It helps me respond to people, helps me control myself, it helps me feel better about me, it makes me feel more powerful and empowered, and why not go with this? This is a good way to fly. This is a way to live.
Oh yeah, and belief is very powerful for individuals, for society. Many of us, historically, traditionally, throughout the years, have given our lives for our beliefs. countries have gone to war, like the communists have gone to war with us because they believe that communism is better. We've gone to war with them because we believe capitalism is better. The belief in freedom, I mean, belief can be, you know, it's an incredibly powerful motivator. And like, for example, like one of the findings in happiness research is that religious people tend to be somewhat, not much, but
happier.
Somewhat happier
Yes.
than non-religious. Now, one reason for that might be like their beliefs. If you believe that there is an almighty, ever-present, powerful presence, you know, loving you and taking care of you at every moment of your life, that's going to feel really good.
True.
So, and now naturally that's something that, like, there's no way we could ever prove that, right? I mean, some people say they can prove God's existence, and I guess that depends on how one would define God and all, but the idea is that a belief doesn't require proof. So as long as we believe something like that we are very, very happy, very, very strongly, we're going to feel that belief.
That's true. That is very true. And I think as far as religion goes, whatever our religion might be, it's important to embrace it, because it could be good for us if we utilize it. I like to think that a lot of times we may believe in something and then we don't really use it. And when it comes to religion, I think we should live our religion. And one of the things about each religion, no matter what religion you've been brought up, is that happiness is really a foundation for a religion, although that's not totally understood. And part of the reason is for example, when Jesus was around 2,000 years ago, the word happiness didn't exist. So it's very hard to understand this concept when the word wasn't even created yet. So we're starting to, and the word is evolving. But I think that, for example, in a book, The Monks of New Skeet, they wrote a book called, well, it's a book about happiness, you know, and it is, they say that God has to be the happiest being in the universe, and we should just emulate him. And I think the real thing about religion is that I think all religions, we're here so we can have a fuller life, and that encompasses happiness. So, and the other aspect of happiness that's such a big part of it is gratitude. And it becomes very simple when we're grateful for our lives, grateful for all we have, not for things so much, but just that we can feel, we can see, we can hear, for the little things. And when we all of a sudden start feeling like we've got a lot, and we have gratitude, then in a sense we're being grateful to the universe, to God, for all that we have. And it's when we realize how much we have that we have an opportunity to have more. Because otherwise, more doesn't do it. No, it doesn't matter how much more you put into something that's full, that can't receive. And I think gratitude allows you to receive, because unless you're grateful for what you're receiving, how could more matter? You may think you want more, but the problem with the world is that we've been chasing after more and we haven't been getting happier. So that's the key here.
Okay, I've got to challenge you on one thing.
Oh, okay.
You said that the word happiness didn't exist around the time of Jesus. Now, you know, I studied Judaism for a long time. There's two things. One, there's the word simcha, which I believe means joy. Like Simchat Torah means joy of the Torah.
Okay, the word joy was around.
Right.
Yeah.
Well,
and that was pretty much the word.
Right. And the other, there's another word actually though.
Bliss?
A friend. No, not bliss. A friend of mine is a PhD student, and actually he's a doctor in biblical studies. And I think he told me a few weeks ago that the word bless means happiness. You know, blessed are the poor, blessed are the meek.
Okay.
And so, like, that's a very interesting concept.
I think it is.
Because when you think about it, it's like, you know, God bless you. It's like God make you happy, or, you know, which is a very interesting. Yeah.
Yes, it is. It is. But I guess the actual word happy, you know, came from, you know, I won't go into the derivation, but I think it was like, it wasn't all that long ago, and the meaning originally meant lucky, you know, happy-go-lucky. You know, when somebody was lucky, so they were happy, you know. So it was always an external getting. That's where the word happiness was pretty much in our semantics.
I think that's very interesting, because, like, you know, when you think about luck, you know, I know we're getting a little away from decision and belief, but we'll go back to it. But when you think about luck, it's like there's only one kind of luck that is really worth anything. I mean, one could be like...
And that is?
That's the luck of being extremely happy.
Well,
like,
is it luck?
Well, I mean, all right, in that case, we get into the question of like free will, determinism, and all that stuff. That can get very involved. But the idea is that, like, for example, we could be very lucky in having a lot of money and having a lot of, you know, big house or health, all this stuff. Just a lot of, you know, just kinds of
creature comforts,
or advantages, whatever you want to call it. We could be lucky in that way, and if we're not happy, then all that quote unquote luck is not useful. Whereas, you know, if a person is lucky in only one thing, and that's like the person is like extremely happy, and he's completely unlucky in everything else, that's a very, very lucky person.
Yeah, I can agree with that. And interestingly, we're using the word luck. Interestingly, we started the show because it's a decision, and we don't really have to have luck or determinism or free will. You can make the decision right now to be happy, right, George?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, there it is. So maybe it's fate that you make the decision right this moment, but that's okay, as long as you make it.
And it's important to make it, because, like, I mean, we make decisions. We make decisions to go to school, to go into a certain profession, you know, and, like, you know, we don't habitually, culturally make the decision to become very, very happy. And that's something that, like, you know, with your happiness club and your columns on happiness, you constantly bring this up, this idea that, you know, that we can decide, we can decide to just, like, be very happy and make that foremost in our lives.
Yeah, it's true. And, you know, we've all heard that happiness is a choice, but I like to differentiate choice and decision, because decision is pretty much what this show has been about. The difference is that you may choose vanilla or chocolate ice cream, but you really made a decision to eat something. And you know, you made a decision what ice cream store you're going to go to, and you know, and that got you there, and then you ended up making a choice. But the decision gave you the legs to get to it, and then the choice just, you know, between two of the same item, maybe vanilla, chocolate, strawberry. But the decision to eat ice cream was a big one, and really the difference between a decision and a choice could be that if a judge was deciding, was in a room hearing your case and had the power of whether, George, you would live or you would die, he wouldn't say, George, I choose to kill you. That wouldn't sound too good. He would say, I've decided, you know, based on all the evidence, you know. He wouldn't choose to kill you. He's decided based on all the evidence. So that's why a decision is so important, because you collect all the evidence, you realize rationally that, you know what, the best thing I could do for myself is decide to be happy. And then all you got to do is choose it from then on. But the decision becomes important, because the decision gives you the direction of where you're headed, always.
Yeah, that's very important. It's the idea that, like, for example, if someone decides, let's say, to become an architect, okay, that sets in motion architecture school, an internship with an architecture firm. It's a whole process, you know, that just follows from that one decision. So naturally, with happiness, if one decides to be very happy, even completely happy, if you know, if that's possible, I think it is. Yeah, there you go. Okay. One makes that decision, and that sets in motion the focus for one's life. If one makes that one's foremost decision, that's the foremost focus in one's life. And sure, so the decision will set in stage the person's behavior, and that will just lead to so much that will facilitate and make able the greatest amount of happiness possible for that person.
Yeah. Well, this is interesting, George. We spent you know, the whole time talking about the happiness decision and how it's a decision, how it's also a belief system, and it's probably a very good belief system to have, and how it also is a choice. And but once you make that decision, you just have to choose it from moment to moment. Just like now, we have only a little bit of time left in the show, but when you choose to respond in a very happy way about that, when you don't say, oh nuts, I only have 30 seconds left.
We're going to do another one.
Yeah, we're going to do another. So it's so wonderful to have the power of choice at your disposal. So I can choose to feel any way I want about whatever's going on. And that choice comes from my decision and your decision to decide to be happy. A decision is made in a moment, and the choices are made for the rest of your life. That's how you retain the power. Well, with that, the rest of this segment is going to be devoted to our West Coast happiness expert, Amy Brand. She's a student who's becoming a PhD, and she's also started a happiness club in San Francisco. So take it away, Amy.
Excellent.
We are sitting here today with Mr. Bill Halbert, former president of the Optimist Club. And we're here basically to just gather a bunch of information from Mr. Halbert. So I'm just going to turn the tables right over to you and ask for some information on the Optimist Club.
Optimists, I happen to be a member of the local Birmingham Club, and this type of clubs tend to be local. There's clubs all over metropolitan Detroit, for example. Founded in Buffalo, New York in 1911. Became a real official, it's a non-profit kind of thing, like a Kiwanis or Rotary. In 1919, it's international in scope, has 3,500 clubs all over the world, big in Canada, particularly French part of Canada, Quebec, for example, huge in the United States, big in a lot of countries overseas as well. Our motto is Friend of Youth, okay? And we have a mission statement, for example, that says Optimist International's mission is to foster an optimistic way of life through a network of optimists dedicated to the full development of their potential in order to provide ever-expanding services to youth, the community, and the world. Our real thrust, though, is youth. We like to say our motto is Friend of Youth. At the end of every meeting, the meetings are typically 7:30 in the morning for breakfast. The speaker comes on at 8. At 8:30 we break up. We start the meeting with the Pledge of Allegiance. We end the meeting with the Optimist Creed, which we're famous for. Twice it mentions happiness, by the way.
Oh, great!
Promise yourself to be so strong that nothing can disturb your peace of mind. To talk health, happiness, and prosperity to every person you meet. To make all your friends feel there is something in them. To look at the sunny side of everything to make your optimism come true. To think only of the best, to work only for the best, and expect only the best. To be just as enthusiastic about the success of others as you are about your own. To forget the mistakes of the past and press on to the greater achievements of the future. To wear cheerful countenance at all times and give every living creature you meet a smile. To give so much time to the improvement of yourself that you have no time to criticize others. To be too large for worry, too noble for anger, too strong for fear, and too happy to permit the presence of trouble. So that's well known. We have a plaque that we give every speaker.
That's wonderful.
And they will tell us when they come back, say they come back 2 years later, that plaque sits right on their desk. And when they're feeling down, they read the Optimist Creed.
That's great. I think I'm going to have to join the Optimist Club.
So I joined in 1980. I've been there for 23 years. I run the Oratorical Contest. It's a speech contest for kids in 9th and 10th grade. I think this year's contest topic title, I think it's taken right from the Optimist Creed. I think it says, to expect only the best. And the kids get up and give a talk. We have a local winner, we have a regional winner, and then we have a state winner. And the state winner gets a $1,500 scholarship.
Wow.
To the school of their choice.
Wow, that's wonderful.
Yeah. But we have an essay contest in the fall that I run as well. It's for 9th through 12th grade. And for years it was called Freedom, Our Most Precious Heritage. And the kids wrote about that. Well, that became quite interesting after 9/11, you know,
right,
to see what the kids were thinking about that. And we do that with the Freedom Foundation in Valley Forge. We do a lot of joint ventures kind of stuff with other groups.
Well, maybe the Optimist Club and the Happiness Club can form a bond.
Is there such a thing? Is there a formal group called the Happiness Club?
Yeah, actually, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. You can go to happinessclub.com.
Okay.
And I was actually just asked to be the president of the California chapter of the Happiness Club.
That's cool.
Yeah.
A typical turnout on Wednesday mornings is 30 guys. Dues are $87 a month, which pays for the breakfast, basically. You know, $10 for the dues or whatever, you know.
How do you see the Optimist Club relating to happiness?
Well, by definition, of course, an optimist is somebody who sees the glass half full, you know, as opposed to half empty, you know. And our creed says it's a person who looks on the sunny side of everything. I like it because, you know, it's a perfect break halfway through the week. You know, it's on Wednesday mornings, all right? So if Monday and Tuesday were a little rough, you start off Wednesday totally optimistic again. It's just fun to be with a bunch of upbeat guys. I mean, you know, because that's our creed. You can't walk in, you know, feeling glum. How can you? You're at the Optimist Club.
Right. Right. No kidding. That's great. So, how did you become introduced to the Optimist Club?
The guy who sold me my house, this house here, was a guy named, a real estate guy named Sam Mitchell, who happened to be a past president of the club. And that's how you get members, you know. Members bring other guys in and so on. And he just introduced me. I'd never heard of it. I'm not kidding.
Mm-hmm.
I'd heard of the Lions. You know, the Lions do the eyeglass thing for the blind. They do this, they lead their dogs, you know, kind of thing. Where our thing is friend of youth. That's our thing. So how can you not be in favor of that?
Right.
You know, so I joined in 1980. In 1981, I took over running the Oratorical Contest, and I've run it for 24 years since. In 86, 87, I was president. You're only president for 1 year, which is good.
Has it changed much over time?
Yeah, it has taken on, it's much better known than it used to be because of all the programs it sponsors. For example, our club has invented a couple of programs that are used nationally. One is very innovative, for example, it's called Trooper Teddy. We donate teddy bears. We donate teddy bears to the local police force and the state troopers as well. And when they keep them in their trunks. When they come across a traumatic situation involving a youngster, they pull out their teddy bears. And they're donated by the Optimist Club.
Aww.
It's a national program now. It's called Trooper Teddy.
Oh, that's great. Trooper Teddy. Great.
Okay.
Well, that's all we have for now. If somebody wanted more information, would they?
Oh, hey, www.optimist.org. O-R-G.
Easy enough.
It's a website. We're based in St. Louis. That's our headquarters. Or just Google us.
Perfect.
Optimist International.
Perfect. Thanks, Bill. And this is Amy Branch signing off for the Happiness Show.
Happiness is powerful. It's our underlying need. Happiness is why we live each day. Happiness is destiny. So let's be so very happy. Yeah, let's be so very happy. Yeah, let's be so very happy.